Welcome to the Williamsville Wire. Starting lineup for tonight, Reed Bodine's back in after senior night, but we expect to see Braden Scott during this game, of course. We know, of course, Williamsville plans to get out to a big lead. Garrett Tim also starting. Braden Sailing, Brecken Thomas, of course. Reed Bodine, like we mentioned. Carson Kohler at center, who's been aforementioned as a guy who could make or break this Williamsville squad heading into playoffs.
Yeah, you kind of look at this team, Garrett Tim and Reed Bodine, some people that we didn't really expect to start this late in the season. I didn't expect Garrett Tim, but he's provided so much on the offensive end that it's kind of hard not to play him. And with Ryan Mendenhall and Braden Scott coming off the bench, you also get much needed, sparks on both offense and defense from both of those guys. So the rotation is key for Nick Beard and his squad here tonight, but look for the Bullets to get going early and get going often. Got to take advantage of this Tri-City.
Yep, no doubt about it. Once again, if they win this game, they head to Athens to take on Quincy Notre Dame Wednesday night at 7:30. Athens plays Porta tonight at Athens. That game beginning right now. We'll keep score updates on that one as we go through the night. I think that one could be a pretty good game. Carson Kohler jumping up against Colin Kramer. The whistle blows, the ball is up. Kohler's gonna win it. In the backcourt is Brecken Thomas, he'll take it. He's loosely guarded tonight by Donovan Riley. Thomas has it, guarded by Riley. Not in too much of a hurry to get the offensive started. He'll give it to Kohler near the left wing. He's looking to set up the offense. He'll give it to Tim at the key. Tim gives to Thomas. Thomas down to Kohler on the right block. Feeding Bodine down low, and he will be fouled on the floor. Guy kind of fell on top of him.
A good-looking entry pass there from Kohler to find Bodine on the left block, and Bodine could have went up for it, but decided to draw the foul instead.
Colin Kramer picks up his first, Sailing to inbound. Actually not too bad of a crowd here at Williamsville for a playoff game. Usually
no school too.
Yeah, not usually too big of crowds for these types of games, but not too bad. Tim has it, he'll give it to Thomas, working back near the key, giving to it wide open. Sailing in the right corner, pulling from three, shots a little bit off, and working it is RJ Sullivan up the floor for the Tornadoes.
That's a shot you'll take 10 out of 10 times, just couldn't hit.
Kramer now has it, giving to Riley. Riley giving over to Jackson Nibby. Nibby guarded by Bodine. Swings it over to Riley. Donovan Riley near the right key, guarded by Thomas. Riley trying to set up this Tri-City offense. Over near the right wing is number 2, RJ Sullivan. Sullivan gives across the way to the big man, Casey Whittington. Whittington across the way to Nibby. Nibby pulls from 3. Shot off the mark. Kohler, the offensive board. And Sailing will set up the Bullet offense in the front court. Giving to Bodine. Bodine will have the first bucket of the night.
Great entry pass there from Sailing and Bodine. Great heads-up play by cutting to the basket on a fast break opportunity. You'll take that 10 out of 10 times.
Donovan Riley has it in the front court for Tri-City, guarded by Brecken Thomas. Working back near the key, he'll swing it to Nibby. Nibby has it, guarded by Bodine. He'll swing it to RJ Sullivan. Sullivan, Tri-City not in too big of a hurry here. He'll give it to Kramer. Kramer on the right wing, driving in on Garrett Tim, swinging to Nibby. Nibby to an open Sullivan, shot no good. It's bouncing around and it finds its way into the hands of Riley. He'll set up the Tri-City offense after the offensive board. He'll give it down to Whittington. Whittington out of bounds. It's going to Williamsville. He thought there was a foul. No foul called. Williamsville possession on the baseline.
Like to see the ball movement there by Tri-City. Just couldn't find the bottom of the bucket. Had 2 wide open opportunities. Both times coming down the court. Just couldn't convert.
Sailing has it. Loosely guarded by Nibby in the front court. 5:50 remaining here in the first. Sailing giving to Garrett Tim, working back near the key. Give it to Thomas. Thomas feeds Kohler on the left block, trying to work in on Riley. Now it's Bodine who's going to have yet another basket.
So again, another cut there by Bodine to the right block this time, and great heads-up play by Kohler to sense that and find the open man. And if your offense is moving like that off the ball, it's hard to stop.
Here's Nibby. Nibby giving to Riley. Riley closely guarded by Thomas. Now he's going to get a count. He's got to get rid of it or else it'll be 5 seconds. He will. He'll get it out to Sullivan. Sullivan guarded by Sailing, giving to Nibby. Maybe swings it back to Riley. Riley, it's stolen away by Kohler, but it's back into the hands of Riley, and he throws it to Reed Bodine, who works it in the front court, and he has 6 straight points for the Bullets.
Who knew Reed Bodine would be the
it?
first 6? He's got 6 points, and
that might be the most he scored all season here in the first 4 minutes. Jackson Nibby in the left corner now working back near the key. He'll give it to R.J. Sullivan. Sullivan hands it off to Riley. Riley trying to make something happen. He'll give it back to Kramer. Kramer gives to Riley, who's kind of running the point guard and trying to set up this tornado offense. Loses it for a moment. He's going to give it out to Sullivan. Sullivan guarded by Sailing, and the Bullets are playing great defense. And Sullivan will throw it out of bounds, looking for Riley.
So again, great pressure defense by Williamsville. It's kind of what we've come to expect, but Bullets coming out in man after playing the last 2 games in that 1-3-1 kind of 3-quarter court pressure. So Nick Beard back to his roots.
30-second timeout called by Tri-City. We'll take a 30-second timeout here on the Williamsville Wire. Welcome back to the Williamsville Wire here, live wire here on our Williamsville Wire YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Braden Sailing in the front court, guarded by Whittington. He'll give it to Garrett Tim. Tim trying to set up the Bullet offense. Sailing giving to Bodine. Bodine to Sailing. Sailing down to Kohler on the left block, trying to make something happen. He'll give it out to Bodine. Williamsville's penetration hasn't been quite all there, but it's Kohler giving to Bodine. Bodine out to Thomas. Thomas to Tim, who pulls a deep 3 and nails it.
Garrett Tim getting in on the scoring this time, and I love that ball movement. I love the Bullets getting it inside to Carson Kohler, and I see all the men cutting around him, and that opens up so much.
And Riley's going to be fouled on his way up, I believe. Brecken Thomas will pick one up.
Yeah, Garrett Tim's high arcing shot does remind you of Tybeck last year, where you think it's going to hit the ceiling before it hits the rim, but it always finds the bottom of the net.
At Davert Court.
Yeah.
Jackson Nibby looks to inbound it. He'll give it in to Riley just barely. It was tipped by Brecken Thomas, but Riley now trying to drive in on Thomas. Now he's got to get rid of it on the baseline. He swings it up, but Sailing will tip it into the front court, and he's got his first points of the night. It's a layup in transition for the Bullets.
Again, active use of hands and the trapping defense that we've come to love has proved critical here so far early.
Donovan Riley has it on the left wing, guarded by Thomas. He'll swing it over to R.J. Sullivan. Sullivan guarded by Sailing, now picked up by Tim. This time Kramer trying to drive in. It's on the ground. Kohler steals it in transition up to Bodine. A great pass. Bodine has 8 points.
So Bodine, I mean, just bucket after bucket after bucket.
Reed Bodine.
If he's able to finish with both hands through contact and have that 1-2 punch down low of Kohler and Bodine, I mean, some good looks so far.
No doubt. Nibby has it near the key, swinging it over to Donovan Riley, but he'll turn it over into the hands of Thomas. Thomas to Bodine. Bodine to Kohler, and in transition, the Bullets get the basket. Kohler's first 2. 2:25 remaining here in the first, and it's a 15-0 advantage for Williamsville. Donovan Riley has it, this time guarded by Thomas. He'll swing it across the way to R.J. Sullivan. Sullivan finds its way into the hands of Whittington. Whittington to Nibby, but it's tipped out of bounds by Bodine. A few subs will come in for Tri-City, down by 15 points.
Braden Scott will come in for Williamsville. So
Reed Bodine has a smile on his face. The most points he scored in a basketball game probably since, I don't even
junior
know.
High?
Well, JV,
well, JV
probably.
I'm just
varsity basketball. This is definitely his highest scoring
yes.
game, and it's the first quarter.
Feed the man.
Yeah, Donovan Riley has it. He'll give it to Sullivan. Sullivan swings it to Martinic, who's fresh in the game, but it's out of bounds, looking for Jackson Nibby, so Williamsville gains possession back. You know, like I said, you know, in the pregame, you know, you're just working on stuff if you're Williamsville. You know, we thought Williamsville had a huge advantage, and it seems like that's definitely the case. Thomas driving in. He'll give it to Scott, who's fresh in the game. He'll give it to Sailing. He pulls a deep three, and it's just off the mark, but Thomas is there for the offensive board. Giving to Tim, who pulls from 3. Shot, no good. Scott can't pull it down. They're going to say it's going to stay with Williamsville. It's off. Martinic down low for Tri-City, so Williamsville remains in possession. It's into Scott. Scott gives to Sanders on the left wing. He has it. He'll give it to Sailing. Sailing giving to Thomas, who's trying to drive in. He'll give back to a wide open Sailing shot just off the mark. And Tri-City has possession, so Braden Sailing not hitting his threes. I believe he's 0 for 3 so far. RJ Sullivan has it. He'll give it out to Jackson Nibby. Nibby swings it to Riley. Riley to fresh in Cameron Clayton, who's a senior, so this might be his last game of his career. Clayton pulls from 3. It's the first points of the night for Tri-City.
So again, like we said in the pregame, if they're able to hit them shots and, you know, play scrappy defense, they can find their way in this one, but so far neither has happened. So maybe this will be the jolt that they need come here late in the first quarter.
Big man can shoot. It's Thomas driving in, and a foul is going to be called. That was a pretty easy call there. Cameron Clayton, hard foul on Brecken Thomas. Thomas to the line for the first 2 free throws of the night and his first scoring opportunity with 40 seconds in the first.
Like you said, looking forward, I already like the progress that Williamsville has made on the offensive end. They don't look as stagnant as they once did, like in Auburn, where, you know, you had those offensive droughts. This time they look more fluid. I know it's Tri-City, but they just look more fluid and getting the ball inside. And, you know, Kohler's obviously dictating the offense, cutting around him, and he's able to find open men, specifically Bodine here early. It's a great offense here so far.
Thomas 2 for 2 at the free throw line, so that's definitely been something that Williamsville's worked on as the year has gone along. Here's number 11, Donovan Riley, giving to the big man in the corner. That's Clayton's shot just off the mark, but it's going to be Riley working through contact, and it's an and one possibility here as the basket goes in.
Tough little line
for a possible three-point play.
Tough little layup by Riley, a 6-foot junior, and finishing through contact's always hard, especially around the rim. Got to alter your body to make sure it gets up and over, and that time it does, so he'll be rewarded with a chance to make it a 3-point play.
Thomas's second. Riley cannot complete the 3-point play. It's Kohler pulling down the defensive board. 22 seconds as Williamsville will take one last shot. Sailing, 12 down to 11, guarded closely by Riley. He's got to count, so he's got to get away from him. He will. Near the key now, and he's got to work in. He'll give it to Scott. Scott down to Kohler, and it's going to be a bucket at the end of the first quarter for Carson Kohler. He's at 4, and that is the end of the first quarter. We'll take a quick break here on the wire. We'll come back with stats right before the second quarter begins. Back here on the Williamsville wire, Reed Bodine leads the Williamsville scoring with 8. Kohler behind him with 4. Thomas with 2. Tim with 3. Sailing with 2. That's where the scoring
Plethora of
stands.
scoring from everyone here early.
Clayton has it for Tri-City, who has possession to start the second. It's knocked out of his hands. In the backcourt, it's Martinic. Martinic will kick it over to R.J. Sullivan. Sullivan guarded by Mindenhall. It finds its way into the hands of Martinic in the left corner. Shot no good. Brody Newhoff, who's fresh in the game, will give it to Braden Sailing and set up the Bullet offense. Sailing giving to Kohler. Kohler to Sailing, who sets a screen for him, and Sailing pops a three.
Sailing finally hitting one, but you know, they were bound to fall at some point that time. Good look. Good flick of the wrist. Down the bottom of the net.
Donovan Riley was looking for R.J. Sullivan in the left corner, but he threw it out of bounds. So Williamsville gets it back after the turnover.
Mendenhall also in the game for Williamsville, so good to see him getting some minutes, and always good to play, you know, rotational guys when you're up this big early.
Kohler giving to Scott in the left corner, now driving in, but they're going to say it's out of bounds off him, down low. Clayton playing defense on him. So turnover there. Tornadoes get it back.
We'll see if they're able to, you know, pick up their offense here, because they have had open looks, and especially from the corner, just haven't been able to convert.
Webster, who's fresh in the game, that's Chase Webster. He'll turn it over into the hands of Kohler. He was looking for Clayton. It's Sailing in the front court getting the bucket, and he's already at 7.
There's been more. Oh, looks
and
like
it's
it was
in the front court. Stolen by Sailing up to Scott, and Scott's heading to the line for 2 shots. He'll be fouled by number 2, R.J. Sullivan. Webster inbounding, stolen away. Sailing making a good play.
So yeah, Sailing making a incredible effort on the defensive end. Finds Scott. Scott not able to finish, but hard contact puts him at the line. We'll see how free throw shooting can. His first is no good.
Scott, no good. So the Bullets 2 for 3 at the line.
It'll be important for him to maintain some consistency at the line, especially with how he drives in. He draws a lot of contact as a slasher. If he's not able to finish on nights, he needs to convert from the line, and he does there.
1 for 2 is Scott. 3 for 4 is the Bullets as a whole. Scott works out. Reed Bodine back in. I believe Bodine has 2 fouls. It's R.J. Sullivan working it up for Tri-City. He's guarded by Mindenhall. Sullivan up the floor, working in. He'll give it to an open Clayton in the corner, pulling from 3, and it's in, and he's at 6 points as he leads the Tri-City scoring.
2 threes, and big man getting in on some action from deep.
Yeah, we wish Kohler could do that. Why can't Kohler stand in the corner and pop a 3? They leave him wide open. Brody Newhoff giving over to Bodine. Bodine out to Sailing on the right wing, now giving into Kohler. Kohler to an open Bodine, who's going to pull from 3. Bodine must be feeling a shot, but that one's just off the mark. It's into the hands of R.J. Sullivan. Sullivan works it up the floor for Tri-City. He's guarded by Mindenhall.
Stick the layups, Reed. That's how you got all your points, but didn't necessarily need that, but
I don't know.
Oh well.
You got to get someone hot.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Bodine.
8 points.
Sullivan giving to Clayton. Clayton giving to Nibby, who's guarded by Sailing. They'll give it back to Sullivan. Sullivan back to Nibby as Tri-City not really in much of a hurry to set up their offense. Nibby will give it back out to Clayton. Clayton pops it across the way to Sullivan. Sullivan driving in on Kohler and Mindenhall, but it's no good. Sailing in transition up to Bodine. Bodine might have 10 points, and he does not. It's into the hands of Kohler. Kohler to a wide open Mindenhall. He pulls from 3. Shot, no good. Into the hands of Tri-City. It's Jackson Nibby. Nibby setting it up. Guarded by Mindenhall, as they're kind of feisty there.
Tough defense. I mean, that's what Mendenhall's been playing so
Martina
far.
gives to Clayton. Clayton shot just off the mark. Bodine able to pull it down, and he'll reset it to Sailing.
Here, Nick Beard going easy to Bodine. You know he wants to get downhill and possibly go for double-digit scoring. But
and Bodine, there it is. 10 points, Reed Bodine. Fed from Carson Kohler.
Good things come
good
to
assist.
those who wait.
Carson here in the past couple weeks, I will say, you know, he's had some pretty good assists.
He is a very good passer, and he's an underrated passer when he finds the open guys very well, especially cutting to the basket.
Webster open on the right wing, driving in, shot no good. Bodine pulls it down. Bodine's had quite a few rebounds, so I'd be in for a double-double. Brody Newhoff pulls from 3, and it's no good, so Bullitt's not really shooting the ball that well, but Bodine's going to pull down the offensive board after it kind of dribbled around.
Right, Bodine may get an offensive,
Bodine
double-double.
Down to Kohler. Kohler no good, getting his own rebound. That shot's no good. Bodine, that rebound out to Mendenhall, popping the 3, and he got it. Bodine first score in some time.
Offensive rebound and keeping that play alive, and 3 is always more than 2, so you'll take that. Obviously want to make the bunnies, but if you're able to get it back,
it's on the ground. Sullivan's going to turn it over, and it's Brody Newhoff. He'll give it to Sailing. 3:40 remaining in the second. Sailing down to Bodine. Shot no good, but he is fouled. So Bodine, 2 more free throws coming up.
Could have a chance for 12 points in the first half so far.
How about it? How about it? Bodine hits the first.
Kind of a whole new group coming in. Tim in for Mendenhall.
Thomas back in. I think Brecken, well, Brecken has 2 fouls, not Bodine. I don't think Bodine's fouled.
Got in for Newhoff.
Thomas has 2.
So again, like I said, on an inferior opponent, you always want to get those, not the end of the bench guys, but those rotational pieces. Make sure they're getting minutes for the eventual harder games that are going to come about in this regional. Again, obviously Quincy Notre Dame.
Get Bodine back to the free throw line more as he hits both those free throws. It's Riley guarded by Thomas. Riley has got to get it away, but he almost turned it over, but it's into the hands of number 10, Hill Meir. It's going to be Riley. They're going to say he's fouled. I'm not sure who it was. It may have been Brecken Thomas. No, they're going to say it's Jackson Sanders. So that's good for Coach Beard.
So again, Jackson Sanders provided valuable minutes against Auburn. Finishing at the rim, just didn't get much playing time, but when he did, he was efficient.
Banked in. Keaton Martinic, 3. That was a deep one.
I believe that's 9 of their 11 points are from threes.
Yeah, we've hit 3 threes tonight. It's Brecken Thomas up the floor. Working in on Sullivan. It's going to be kicked, so Williams will have the ball on the baseline. Beard didn't like the pass.
Yeah, it could have been a better one by Thomas. He didn't really have to, try and force it in there to Sanders. Probably could have taken it himself, but
Scott down to Bodine, and Bodine is at 14. How about it?
Again, Bodine, the reason he's been able to get all those easy bunny layups is because he's moving around the ball and finding the open holes in the defense, and that's what caused him to get 14 points so far. We'll see what second half has in store. Yeah.
20 bomb?
20 in the first half, you never know. Maybe he could get hot from outside.
Yeah, we'll see. This time it's Riley driving in. The jumper is no good, and Bodine will pull it down and give it to Thomas. 2:20 left here in the half. Scott to Tim. Tim pulls a deep 3 shot way off the mark into the hands of Tri-City. It's Martinez up the way, giving to Whittington. Whittington will turn it over, and it's Bodine in the front court in transition. No good. Tim knocked out of his hands. They're going to say it's out of bounds off Tri-City, and it's down low.
Bodine, I mean, those bunnies, but transition layups just haven't been there. He's missed 2 so far. He just needs to be a little bit softer off the glass. He needs to find his touch, but as he comes off to the bench with a smile on his face, can't be too mad about 14 points.
Sanders giving to Griffin Watkins. Watkins will give to Brecken Thomas, who pulls his first 3, and he nails it. So Brecken Thomas at 5.
Good looking shot there, and Thomas needs to be integral, and especially in the later rounds if he wants to.
And we got an illegal moving screen called. It'll be on number 10, Hill Meir. So Williamsville gets it back after the offensive foul. Griffin Watkins gives it to Garrett Tim. A minute 45 remaining in the half. Thomas has it near the volleyball line. He'll give it out to Scott. Scott across the way to Griffin Watkins. Watkins gives it to Scott in the right corner. Not in too much of a hurry, Williamsville, is it? He'll give it out to Tim near the key. Tim giving to Watkins. Driving in. Mid-range jumper. No good. Tri-City pulls it down. It's Murier.
I like the shot there by Watkins. Just couldn't finish. Maybe set his feet a little bit sooner rather than a fadeaway, but a good shot.
Martinic pulls from 3. It's no good. And Thomas will pull it down for the Bullets. And he'll give it up to Garrett Tim. Garrett Tim in transition will kick it back out to Thomas. Thomas swings to Scott. Scott pulls from 3. One-hand shot, no good. Foul will be on Sanders, and TCSV has it back.
Sanders 2 fouls, but I mean, you can afford to keep him in for the final minute as long as nothing else goes bad. But
so Williamsville nearly a 30-point advantage here at the end of the first half. Last minute remaining here in the second.
You know, it's kind of what you expected.
I think so.
Coming into this game, you have obviously their max preps record are 2-26. So, you know, you kind of expected Williamsville to dominate early and often.
Riley was looking for Muir, but it's out of bounds. Bullets get it back for the last 45. I wonder Beard will practice a last shot play or if he's just going to have him push it.
42 seconds, it's kind of the threshold that coaches vary. Could try get 2 for 1. Or
Scott has it near the key, giving to Newhoff, so Bolt's not really much of a hurry. It's Watkins out to Mendenhall. Mendenhall will give to Brody Newhoff. 24 down to 23. Kind of got your secondary Williamsville squad in right now. Watkins will give it back to Newhoff, and the Beard will try to set up some sort of play. 12 down to 11, so 10 seconds here. It's Sanders giving to Newhoff. Newhoff driving in around defenders. A good-looking play there, but it's no good. Into the hands of Nibby. 2 seconds remaining. Shot is up, and it is no good, so that is the end of the first half. Williamsville up 37-11. We'll be back before the second half begins. Welcome to the Williamsville Wire. Williamsville has the ball to start the second half, and it's a thriller.
It is. Well, you know, especially as the Williamsville Wire, you always love these, you know, these blowout games. But
Scott shoots a three. It's just off the mark. And it'll be R.J. Sullivan pulling it down, and he'll work it up the way for Tri-City. Sullivan has it. He'll kick it over to Whittington. Whittington near the free throw line. He's got to get rid of it. He'll give it back out to Sullivan. It was almost tipped away by Sailing. Sullivan, he'll give it to Nibby. Nibby swings it down to Kramer. Kramer guarded by Tim. This time on the left block, he'll give it out to Nibby. Nibby guarded by Bodine, and Bodine ends up on the ground. And Sailing has it, and he'll give it up to Scott. Scott in the front court. He'll give it to Thomas. Thomas driving in. Down to Bodine, and Bodine's offensive night continues. He made up for it after he falls to the ground.
It don't matter if he falls down. He's got 14 points.
No, he's at 16.
Oh, 16. I'm sorry. I lost
yeah.
track. I mean, so much points.
So many.
Or so many, yeah.
See Bill Bodine across the way smiling at that. So it's R.J. Sullivan, left wing. He'll kick it over to Kramer. Kramer hands it to Riley. Riley, mid-range jumper is good.
Nice little move there by Riley. Getting in the mid-range game.
Thomas in the front court. He'll give it to Scott in the left corner. He'll give it back to Thomas. Thomas to Scott. Scott driving in, and the shot no good. He was working in on Kramer. But this time it's Riley for Tri-City working up the floor. R.J. Sullivan. Sullivan gives it to Kramer. Kramer guarded by Tim. Swings it out to Riley. Riley jumper no good. Sailing gets it. In transition, he's looking for a pass in the front court. He'll give it to Garrett Tim. Pulling from three in the left corner. Shot just off the mark, and foul on Reed Bodine. It'll be on R.J. Sullivan. Is that his third?
I believe that is his third.
I don't think. I think it's only his first or second. I'll go first.
Oh, it's first.
First, yeah. I was going to say. I don't.
Maybe I saw two, and maybe I saw something else. But
yeah, just wrong again.
Yep,
wrong again.
Wrong again. Yeah.
And here we go.
3 inches of snow. Yeah. Predictive meteorologist over here.
I said 3 to 6, and we got 5. It's which is right in the range, by the way. So it's Riley kicking it out to Kramer. Kramer swings it down to Whittington. Whittington to Nibby. Nibby driving in on Reed Bodine. R.J. Sullivan guarded by Sailing. Sullivan swings it to Nibby. It's almost tipped away by Bodine, but he's able to handle it. He'll give it back to Riley. Riley kicks it out to Kramer. Finding an open Sullivan near the left wing. He'll get back to Nibby. 5 minutes and 13 seconds remaining in the third. Nibby across the baseline. Swinging it across. And is Riley. Riley's layup is good down low over Reed Bodine.
So 2 tough buckets by Riley in the second half. And he's kind of been their go-to guy so far. The entire game, too, just to create them shots.
Sailing to Thomas. Now it's Tim giving to Sailing. Sailing to Thomas. Thomas driving in, now kicking back out to Scott, who's in the right corner. Scott gives to Brecken. Thomas. Brecken Thomas giving to Braden Sailing. Sailing to Braden Scott. Scott driving in. It was almost tied up, but he's able to work around a few defenders and lay it in.
Good move. But I wonder how long Coach Beard will keep his starters in. Obviously experiencing a 36-point lead,
yeah,
or excuse me, 26-point lead.
I think you want, the running clock, and
yeah.
And once you got that, you
kind of smooth sailing from there.
It's into the hands of Bodine. In transition, Bodine was trying to give it to Sailing, but he frankly wasn't open. I think Bodine should just took it himself.
Could have had 18.
Sullivan into the corner is Whittington. Shot no good, and Bodine pulls down the offensive board. And Bodine's at least at 5 rebounds, so. Scott driving in, giving to Scott. That was Thomas driving in, giving to Scott. Shot good, so Braden Scott hits it.
Scott, again, one of those players we talk about, driving to the basket. They turn the ball over here, but he can also stroke it from deep too, and if he's able to hit that, then they have no choice but to play up on him, which can also be beneficial. As he drives into the lane, he can catch defenders off guard and score inside.
No doubt. Sailing will inbound to Brecken Thomas. Bullets up by 29, sorry.
You're good. Coach Beard just got out of, subbed out Garrett Tim and Reed Bodine. So 2 starters gone right now. Watkins in, the inexperienced.
Watkins giving to Sailing. Sailing thought about pulling from deep 3. Sailing works to Mendenhall, who pulls from 3, looking for a second of the night. It's off the mark. And Brecken will pick it back up after the turnover, foul, and 1. So he's heading to the line for a possible 3-point play. He got the steal, he got the basket. Let's see if he gets the 3-point play.
So yeah, Thomas, great active use of hands there, finishing through contact once again. We've seen him do that on and off this season, most notably against Pleasant Plains. And that time he's able to convert. Brecken Thomas completes the 3-point play.
And number 4, that's Colin Kramer, but he'll turn it over from Clayton. And in the front court is Williamsville. It's Brecken Thomas. He'll give it to Sailing. Sailing guarded by R.J. Sullivan. Sailing giving back to Watkins. Watkins to Mendenhall. Mendenhall, good ball movement here. He'll give it to Thomas. Thomas to Watkins, who's going to pull from 3 on the left wing. Shots off the mark. And it's turned over again, and it's Ryan Mendenhall. It's off the mark. Sailing has it. Sailing pulling from 3 in the left corner and nailing it.
It's always tough when he sets those feet. Braden Sailing, the phenomenal shooter for the Bullets these past 2 years.
Cal Lideker looks to get in here. It's Nibby pulling from 3. It's no good. Thomas, what are they going to call? At a foul.
It's like on
That's Ryan Mendenhall, a foul. So Brecken Thomas was probably going to dunk in the front court, honestly. He had a wide open lane there.
I mean, it is that kind of day, you know, Bullets dominating, and that Thomas smiling like he could have had that fast break dunk, a highlight reel play. But
30-second timeout called by Tri-City. So we'll take a quick 30-second timeout, sponsored by Elite Lawn Care, Wade Moeller at Westtown Ford and Top Tier Springfield. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Williamsville Wire. It's Jackson Nibby inbound for Tri-City. 5-second violation, and Williamsville has it back.
So again, just kind of that night for Tri-City and kind of that season. Just inefficient and careless with the basketball.
It's Cal Lideker having it. He'll give it to Brody Newhoff, so a lot of kind of JV players in right now.
Will probably be plagued with the fourth quarter with JV. Plague's a bad word.
Newhoff giving to Watkins. Watkins guarded by Nibby. Watkins to Lideker, pulls from 3 in the right corner, and he hits it.
Cal Lideker, brother of Mason Lideker, getting in on the scoring action that time with a 3. Play PE basketball with them.
How did he do?
I beat him twice.
Beat him twice, okay.
He beat me in the championship.
He did? Oh,
he did,
wow.
yeah, him and Max Fisher.
Clayton pulling from 3, looking for his 3rd of the night. It's no good. It's Brady Newhoff pulling it down and working it into the front court for the Bullets. Down to Sanders. Sanders guarded by Clayton, and he gets it around Clayton. So Sanders' first points of the night. And Sanders does get some meaningful varsity minutes when you find Kohler and Thomas in foul trouble.
And I do feel like he takes advantage of those moments. He does. We saw it against Auburn. He had, I believe, 4 to 6 points, and all around the rim. So he can convert when, you know, Kohler's in foul trouble. Obviously, you want Kohler out there, but when he's in foul trouble, especially like 2 fouls in the first half, Sanders can come in and be a viable big man option when Kohler's not in.
Newhoff on the left wing now after the turnover by Riley. It's Watkins driving in for Williamsville. They're going to call a foul and 2 shots coming up. So Cameron Clayton picks up a foul. You know, that's one of those, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of contact, but there must have been enough to warrant one. That's Clayton's 3rd, so Watkins at the line, first one good.
I do like the game of Griffin Watkins. Plays like a guard, but he is tall enough to be that inside guy, and Coach Beard kind of used him as that 3-4 man. And if he shoots the ball with accuracy and, you know, some consistency, he could be a real threat for years to come.
Porta leading Athens 34-28 in the 3rd quarter. So
Simka's pick might go down.
Did you pick Porta?
I did not. Yes, I did. I picked Porta over.
And you picked
I picked Athens over Porta, but I picked Riverton.
Yeah, okay. So that's fair.
Don't doubt the Blue Jays.
Don't doubt the Blue Jays. We'll take a quick break. Timeout called by Tri-City. We'll take a full timeout here on the Williamsville Wire. Welcome back. Daybrook Court, Williamsville, Athens Regional beginning here. It's number 2, RJ Sullivan pulling from 3, shots off the mark, and it's going to go out of bounds. And Travis Guest says it'll stay with Tri-City. I didn't see it, but.
Yeah, I didn't really see it either. But
and I can't make that up. Cole Duncan just threw it right into the hands of Jackson Sanders. He literally just threw it right to him.
Again, just kind of in that season, just.
I don't know if I've ever seen that in my life.
Maybe he's colorblind?
Okay.
The blue and white?
Okay, we don't.
The blue and white? You never know.
I don't know.
But sloppy play so far.
9 seconds remaining in the 3rd. Newhoff, it'll be a legal screen by Sanders, but no call. Newhoff out to Watkins. Watkins mid-range jumper, no good. And that's the end of the 3rd quarter. We'll have a running clock for the entirety of the 4th.
Just total domination here by Williamsville, and that's kind of what we expected.
Completely what we expected. We'll take a quick break here on the Williamsville Wire. When we come back, once again, Williamsville, I want to take a quick look at the bracket if you didn't watch the pregame show. So tough one, you know, Warsaw, they play the winner of Carthage, Illini West. Pleasant Plains plays Pittsfield, so Pleasant Plains already in a regional semifinal. They played early in the year. Pleasant Plains beat them by 13, but Pittsfield has won their last 3 games of the season, and they've kind of proved to be a tough team. They're sitting there at 20-9, so really good team Pittsfield is. So that's going to be a really good game, especially in a neutral site. You know, if that game's at Plains, you definitely favor, you know, I'd say favor Plains. So,
but Pittsfield at that 7 slot is deadly, and Pleasant Plains kind of looking at that like, dang, we really got that draw. But again, they could play teams close, and when they played early in the season, they played I believe within 10 points.
As Tri-City has it, shot's no good, so Williamsville works it up. We're going to talking through some play, but we'll update scoring as it goes. Callum Whitaker currently has it. He'll give it into Dalton Root. So, by the way, Caden Nitwhistle, and he's a freshman, so for Williamsville, you're just seeing a lot of these secondary guys. And then, Pleasant Plains, a lot of people thought it was a tough draw as Dalton Root hits the fadeaway jumper.
Nice little shot there, but yeah, looking at that top, Warsaw obviously the #1 seed and best record, so rightfully deserved. But Alton Marquette in the bottom, we talked about them on the pregame, how they can, they play teams like fairly well. I believe they shoot the ball very well. They move the rock around, and that's the sign of a good offense, and they could see them as sectional champions.
So, Plains, some people thought, Plains got a bad draw. They have to go all the way out to Warsaw, which is like on the Mississippi River all the way. It's like north of Quincy.
Yeah.
So, that's a haul. But,
it is. From Pleasant Plains, it's not as bad as like a Williamsville.
Yeah, here you got I don't even know. You take I-70. I have no idea. But anyway,
maybe.
Probably. And then you got Staunton and Gillespie. They'll play Alton Marquette, who's a really good team. Roxana will play Piasaw Southwestern or East Alton. And then kind of in our side of the bracket, Auburn either plays North Mac or Hillsboro. Those two teams, North Mac's definitely had their struggles this year, so Auburn, you favor them against either of those opponents, in my personal opinion. Then Greenville will play either Litchfield or Carlinville. That game's at Litchfield tonight, so Litchfield's kind of a tougher team, expecting them to win. So Greenville, really tough team, kind of a sleeper team. I was talking to Seth McCoy, like I said, and that's a foul. By the way, the score is 61 to 15. So haven't had.
Well, it's almost a 50-point lead.
Yeah. So, like I said, we're just trying to go over some things, and then obviously Riverton playing Athens and Porta, which I wonder if we have a score update on that one. Let me look real quick.
Yeah, looking at this bracket, Riverton down below and obviously in our regional with Quincy Notre Dame. But for this regional, for Williamsville, it is winnable. And we said that on the pregame, that if they play to their strengths and they play like they did in the holiday tournament, after losing Blake. And we know what they're capable of, but it's all about consistency, how well you can shoot the deep ball, how well you can make your free throws. And that's kind of been the storyline for Williamsville this season. It's just we could play really good against really good teams, but we could also play really poor against some mediocre teams. But I like Riverton in that top slot over either Athens or Petersburg. We'll see that score right now.
Yeah, Porta was leading in the third quarter 34-28, so might be wrong.
You never know.
From the pick as Dalton Root lays it in, so yet another bucket for Mr. Root. Up the floor is Martinic. Martinic guarded by Brody Newhoff. Let's update this.
Yeah, and then Quincy Notre Dame, obviously another good team that Williamsville will play on Wednesday as they travel to Athens. Live wire coverage on that. But you look at that game and you look definitely in the back of Coach Beard's mind. He's probably already looked at them. He's probably scouted them a little bit, and probably Quincy Notre Dame scouting us right now as we speak, as didn't want to show them too much. They elected maybe try a different defensive game plan on them and just elected to go straight man here tonight. Not to show really anything, but they dominated the night, so no need to show anything. Just getting your guys some practice, but they got a tough one going to Athens and battling QND.
You always feel, Tri-City last game here. You do feel for their seniors. Their seniors are Colin Kramer, who's a starter, Chase Webster, who's not a starter but had some valuable playing time, Cole Duncan, number 22, and then 44, Cameron Clayton.
It's like number 22, Duncan is going to come out. He's a senior, hugging all his friends, which final high school basketball game.
As Griffin Watkins lays it in for Williamsville, he's fed by Caden Entwistle assisting him. Up the way is number 13, Brody Cummins. Cummins will give it across the way to Riley. Riley kicks it back out in the hands of Muir. Muir driving in, and he'll throw it into the stands, and it's caught by a fan.
Lucky fan there, getting in on the action. Everyone's getting in. Yeah, just a dominant win here from Williamsville. Never really in doubt from start to finish. Shot the ball well. Feel like off-ball movement was much improved from Auburn. Bodine, obviously a monster game as well.
Game for Reed Bodine, so Callan Lideker driving in. He's going to lose it, but Watkins is there to pick it up. He'll give it to Caden Entwistle. Entwistle to Bryant. Bryant giving to Callan Lideker. Lideker giving back to Entwistle. Entwistle giving to Bryant, who pulls from 3, and he nails it.
A 70 burger here to start regional play, and what better time to get hot on offense than in the postseason.
In the front court, it's no good by Martinic, and Williamsville has it back for the final minute 20. It's going to be Callan Lideker, no good. Nolan Bryant has it. He'll swing it to Dalton Root, who pulls from 3. Shots no good. Entwistle the rebound. Bucket no good. Watkins back up with it. No good. Watkins back up. And that one finally goes.
Offensive rebound, offensive rebound, offensive rebound, and finally gets the bucket to go. So JV squad getting in on the scoring column, and you know, it's deserved because they practice just as much as everyone else as the varsity
No doubt
starters.
about it, as there's a big 3 for Tri-City, number 25, Ethan Pratt. 42 seconds, so this is it. So Williamsville will play Quincy Notre Dame on Wednesday at 7:30. That's a huge one. Williamsville, you know, like we've been talking about, it's winnable. Like, I think sometimes we think, you know, last year we had a great team that didn't win a regional, haven't won a regional in 6 years. They can do it. You know, this team can definitely do it. So, you know, I like the outlook. If Williamsville's able to come away with the win against QND, I like their chances. Nolan Bryant.
I agree with you. Like I said, consistency. You got to be consistent. You kind of have to. Braden Sailing, your best player, kind of have to hit, you know, a bunch of deep shots, and that's kind of what we saw against New Berlin when he had 22 points. We saw him hit a ton of big shots, not even from beyond the arc, but just the ability for him to cut to the basket and make those layups too opens up a lot more for this Bullet offense. So again, your best players are going to have to show up, but that game is winnable for Williamsville, and we'll have coverage on it.
No doubt about it. That's the end of the game here at Williamsville. So like we said, Wednesday, we hope, I think we have a good chance. We're going to have a broadcast there, so stay tuned. We'll post that on social media. Also, you know, great game to Tri-City, especially those seniors that are playing in their final game. You know, Coach Dilly always had big respect for them. They came and fought hard. This isn't Tri-City's greatest year, but it ends today. Williamsville advances to the regional. We're also paying attention to Athens and Porta. It's a close one. It's a nail-biter, so we'll see what comes of that. The winner of that game will play Riverton. This is the end of the stream. Stay tuned to the Williamsville Wire for the end of the basketball season. We have continuing coverage in regionals.